Evan Lazar reporting from Gillette Stadium for CLNS Media with this edition of the Foxboro Report, brought to you by our friends at Action Heat. Action Heat clothing provides toasty warm comfort for your whole body. Go to actionheat.com/newsfeed or use the coupon code newsfeed for 20% off your order. And this morning, Mike Giardi of the NFL Network went on Toucher and Rich and said that Tom Brady might possibly be dealing with an MCL injury in his knee. Giardi said that this was based off a film study and maybe a little bit of reporting as well. Now, I think that just based on film study, no inside information, I find it hard to believe that Tom Brady is dealing with as serious of an injury as a tear to one of the ligaments in his knees. Now, is it possible that at this stage of the season, for any football player, let alone a 41-year-old quarterback, that he's dealing with bumps and bruises of a long season? Absolutely. But a serious injury to the MCL would suggest to me that he would not have the power and the ability to drive the ball down the field that he's shown over the last couple weeks. I'm talking about the seam ball to Cordell Patterson, outs to Julian Edelman in that Miami game, especially in the first half, where he was letting it go and hitting the ball placement perfectly, accuracy perfectly. The ball to Julian Edelman down the middle of the field to set up the Patriots for a chance to score at the end of the game against Pittsburgh. These are all just throws that if he was dealing with something in his lower half, as his body declines a little bit at age 41, I just don't see him having the ability to push the ball downfield at that level if he was dealing with an injury. Now, some of the things that Brady has struggled with over the last couple of weeks and really on the season as a whole, in some cases, are decision making, obviously, and of course maybe a tendency to bail out on some throws a little bit earlier than we're expecting, or to leave some clean pockets a little earlier than the pressure is starting to get there. His internal clock seems a little bit off. I'll agree with that. The decision making, the interception to Joe Hayden in that Pittsburgh game, inexcusable. The decision to take a sack at the end of the first half in Miami, also inexcusable, but that's something that's in his head. That's decision making. That's not a physical thing. Now, bailing on throws, it's obviously possible that he's doing that because he's nursing an injury and he's protecting against injury. But I think it's also possible that he's going through a little bit of risk management in his head, where he's saying, you know, a week 14 game, a week 15 game is not as important as January in the playoffs. I'm going to save some of those big hits for late in the season. I am 41 years old. I do want to manage my body. Let's go that route. I think that that is more, or even more possible, or, you know, just as speculative as saying that he has a physical ailment to his body. I also think that, you know, when you get up there in age, and this would be bad news for the Patriots, that some of these quarterbacks, we saw it with Brett Favre, we saw it with Dan Marino, that internal clock tends to speed up a little bit. You've taken a lot of hits over the course of your career. Your body starts to feel those hits a little bit more than you have when you're a little bit younger. So now Brady's internal clock is certainly speeding up a little bit. He's not standing in the pocket. He's not taking those shots. He's not getting hit while he's thrown as often. Only 2 times all year he's made a throw while being hit. Last year he had 5 in his MVP season. I think that thing could have to do with injury, but I think it's pure speculation at this point unless you have inside sourcing. With this edition of the Foxboro Report from Gillette Stadium, I'm Evan Lazar reporting for CLNS Media.